Hey, what's up, guys? So, we just finished watching the Democratic debate live from Flint, Michigan, hosted by CNN. And this was the second debate that was hosted in Michigan this week. Obviously, on the Republican side, you had theirs in Detroit, and now tonight's that was held in Flint. And it was really incredible to me to see these on the lineup of debates for the year because of the fact that obviously I'm from Michigan, and it seems like for a while now that national media has really forgotten about Michigan. So it was nice to get some attention in the state. Obviously, coming into this debate, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton had Super Saturday, quote unquote, as the media billed it, with Bernie Sanders winning Kansas, Nebraska, and Maine, Hillary winning in Louisiana. Now, a lot of people have been complaining that Bernie Sanders' victories have been downplayed by the mainstream media. And honestly, as a person who watches a lot of mainstream media, a lot of CNN and things like that, I can honestly say that I haven't seen his victories being downplayed at all by the media. But if you're seeing a lot of like YouTube videos and a lot of other sources who are saying that his victories have been downplayed, I would encourage you to take those with a grain of salt because a lot of people are getting offended that people are saying that Bernie Sanders didn't win Super Saturday and Super Sunday just because of the fact that he did not come out with as many delegates as Hillary Clinton did. And it is a delegate race, so I ask that you keep that in mind. But Bernie Sanders overall did win the majority of the states, and he did have a really good weekend. So, that aside, let's get into the recap of the debate. Now, the debate being held in Michigan, a place that's lost a lot of jobs over the course of the past 20 years or so. Obviously, the economy was a huge part of the debate, and the first part of the debate really had to do with the economy. Bernie came out guns blazing using his record of not supporting NAFTA and TPP against Hillary's record of supporting NAFTA and TPP, trade agreements that Bernie has described as being, quote, horrible for the American economy, horrible for the middle class, etc. Now, in regards to NAFTA and TPP, the Sanders campaign put out a tweet last week is essentially blaming NAFTA and TPP and Hillary Clinton's support of those trade agreements for some rundown buildings that you can see in the picture that I just posted in Detroit. Now, I would just like to say that that is one of the first factually incorrect things I've ever seen the Sanders campaign put out because those buildings were dilapidated and run down well before NAFTA and TPP existed. So I was kind of surprised that the Sanders campaign really didn't fact check that, before they put that up on Twitter. But anyway, as that was a part of the debate, just thought that I would bring that up. Now, like I said, Bernie was a lot more aggressive in pushing his record versus Hillary Clinton's record on the economy. And obviously, everyone knows Bernie's going to destroy Hillary Clinton in terms of the economy and debating on that 10 times out of 10. Hillary tried to stick close to Obama in terms of the Wall Street the bailout of the auto industry in 2008, but it really did not work. The 2008 recession, and it really didn't work in my opinion. I think Bernie came out a lot more solid and had more detailed plans in terms of turning the economy around. So I would have to give this first part of the debate to Bernie Sanders. Now, the second part of the debate was really gun control. Obviously, there was a shooting in Kalamazoo, Michigan, a couple weeks back in which an Uber driver shot and killed 7 people and wounded a bunch more. Hillary Clinton, I think, was more solid on this part of the debate than Bernie Sanders, and I don't necessarily agree with some of the policies that she was proposing, such as making gun manufacturers be held responsible for the acts of the people who buy those guns. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think the crowd received it a lot better than Bernie Sanders' policies on gun control and on mental health investment. And I just think overall, minus that particular aside about the gun manufacturers being held responsible, that Hillary Clinton has a more solid plan overall going forward in terms of gun control and gun reform than Bernie Sanders. Now, the third part of the debate was about incarceration and race issues, which were obviously very important questions given that the majority of the Democratic voting constituency in the state of Michigan are Black Americans. So Hillary Clinton obviously has that history of using the term super predators, as well as supporting her support of the crime bill in the 1990s, which her husband was a huge advocate of. Hillary Clinton, when attacked with that really by Bernie Sanders, she retorted by saying that Bernie Sanders really supported that same crime bill, and that it would be unfair to really attack her about it and still and not attack Bernie Sanders. And really, once she brought that up, you could tell Bernie Sanders kind of quieted down and realized, hey, maybe this isn't the best path that I want to go down, because it's kind of pointless since I did vote for it. Even though Bernie Sanders has went on record saying that he only voted for it because there were some good provisions to the bill. Now, Hillary's initial response about the crime bill was pretty weak, and it was kind of cringeworthy when she asked if Bernie Sanders would have to explain his vote on the same bill. But she then turned it around after Bernie brought out his civil rights background, obviously being arrested when he was a student at the University of Chicago and things like that. She really kind of brought it back down and gave a solid answer when she said that there was really no way she could explain or she could feel the same pain and the same effects of racism and other systematic disadvantages that minorities have to go through because of the fact that she is white and she's come from a privileged area. And I love that. I personally love that answer because I thought it was a really honest answer. She didn't try to go on with any PC answer. She just gave the right answer, in my opinion. And so I just personally would have to edge it out to Hillary in that regard. I think Bernie and she really had good answers. Just overall, Bernie brought up his civil rights past, and she brought up her past of advocating for minorities who don't really have a voice in society. Now, part 4 of the debate was about infrastructure and rebuilding crumbling roads, buildings, tunnels, things like that. I think Hillary had pretty solid answers on fixing the emergency management situation, which is going on in Detroit, which obviously because the debate was in Michigan, she made a lot of references on both sides. Both Sanders and Clinton's side were made towards Michigan, Detroit, and Flint, things like that. Bernie provided a really solid answer as well, but the part that kind of got me was the fact that he brought it back to Wall Street again, which really didn't do anything to disprove that notion that he's a one-issue candidate. Now, I do believe Bernie Sanders is really intelligent and has a lot more expertise in other issues, but it just seems like he's continuously going back to this Wall Street and billionaires thing, which I really don't think is helping him. Now, part 5, and really the last major part of the debate, was about climate change. And Bernie, without a doubt, dominated Secretary Clinton on this because just when they were talking about fracking, and Bernie Sanders was essentially saying, hey, Hillary's a part of this Democratic establishment. I'm not a part of the Democratic establishment. Fracking is wrong in any circumstance, no matter what the Democratic establishment would lead you to believe, and I'm not trying to fit in with this Democratic establishment. And he also has just always put a strong emphasis on climate change. He did nothing to dispel that in this debate, saying how important it was for us to get our act together as a society and fix the environment, help recycle, reuse, obviously all those things, reducing carbon emissions into the atmosphere. So obviously Bernie Sanders definitely won that one. Now, the very last question of the debate before the final statements were issued was about religion. Now, personally, I'm someone that does not mind religious questions being asked during debates, but for some reason, a lot of people get offended, mainly atheists, I guess, that religion plays a part in elections. I really don't see how it can hurt you answering a question if you're a person of faith. I think it can only be something that's for the good. But like I said, Bernie gave a really great answer where he didn't really side with any particular faith. He just essentially used the golden rule. Just treat people how you would like to be treated. And it was a really solid, really clean answer, a lot better than Hillary's answer on the night. Now, in conclusion, there was actually a part where Bernie Sanders raised his voice at Secretary Clinton. There are actually several parts. I'm going to play for you guys a part right now, actually.
But if that is the case, then essentially your position is there should not be any guns in America, period.
That is,
now, I
that is
understand.
like the NRA position.
Can I finish, please? All right? And there are people who hold that view, and that's fine if you hold it. I think what you do.
Now, I do not think that Bernie meant for this to be a condescending or sexist tone at all. But I can see where someone would make the argument that potentially this was sexist, and I hate using the sexist or racist card. I hate those cards because I feel like they're overused way too much in society. But I can definitely see why someone would potentially make that argument. He actually did this a couple times throughout the night, and as you can see in the last clip that I just played for you, the audience really didn't take it too well. A lot of people were actually kind of upset about it, but obviously Bernie Sanders, he knows he's down in the polls, so he wanted to go out a lot more aggressive than we've normally seen him, and he was definitely more aggressive tonight. But ultimately, I'm not sure if it will hurt him or help him in the long run because, like as you can see there, the crowd really didn't take that too well. Now I know the crowd is mainly made up of donors, so you can factor that in a little bit how you will. But overall, a lot of people just didn't receive it that well I've I've interacted with anyway. Anyway, in conclusion, in picking a winner of tonight's Democratic debate, I would have to give it just slightly to Hillary Clinton, just due to her answers on certain things like race, as well as gun control and mass incarceration, stopping privatized prisons, things like that. Bernie Sanders did not have a bad night by any stretch of the imagination, and it's just really hard to call these Democratic debates because they're a lot different than the Republican ones. There's actually substance being discussed, and it's pretty difficult, like I said, just to pick a pure winner. But in my opinion, I would have to just slightly give it to Hillary Clinton. She was definitely shaky on some issues, and Bernie was definitely more solid on some issues where she was shaky, and vice versa. But Bernie overall really didn't do anything to dispel that notion of him being a single issue candidate, and it's something that he's really going to have to work on going forward, going into Super Tuesday Part 2, as the media is calling it, with Michigan and Mississippi, among a couple other states, voting on both sides. And he's going to have to try to reach out to more minority voters, mainly black American voters, which is something that Hillary Clinton has a huge lead on with. So, once again, I hope that you guys enjoyed this breakdown of the Democratic debate live from Flint, Michigan, which was hosted by CNN. There will be another debate, I believe, on Wednesday, so I will be breaking that one down, as well as the Republican debate on Thursday from Miami, Florida. So, if you guys did enjoy this content, please drop a like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Thanks.